You're listening to Free-ish in Higher Ed. Welcome back to Free-ish in Higher Ed, and I'm really excited about today's conversation. My guest is someone whose work, voice, and presence are making waves in education, recovery spaces, and beyond. Frederick Shegog, also known as Freddy, is the founder of the Message LLC, a motivational speaker, and an advocate who's using his platform to challenge systems and uplift people. Freddy, thank you so much for being here. Can you start by telling us a little about your story, just to give listeners a sense of who you are and what drives you?
So first of all, God bless you and thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be on here. I never take these platforms lightly because I know what a blessing it is. I never expected to be here. I'm grateful to be here. As I sit back and I hear you talk about my story, it's just wild to hear that considering tomorrow I'll celebrate 9 years sober. I'm just grateful. Grateful I can give my granddaughter a life I didn't have growing up. Real simple, man. Just for me, I was just born in the realm of poverty, mental illness, substance abuse, single parent mom, divorce. She had mental illness. We're on the low end of the social determinants of health. I mean, you know what it is, daycare, food stamps, grandparents helping, black people 101.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Dealing with the system. And from that, finding myself downtown homeless, dumpster diving, begging for change almost 9 years ago. And here we are today. Man found me. I said, let me die. He said, you ain't dying today. I went to rehab. Something clicked. I got out, met my wife, went back to school, wrote my story in English 025. It got published in the Philadelphia Inquirer. Rest is history. I've gotten on in multiple degrees, started this company, but it all happened because I had supporting people who loved and believed in me. So I get to meet wonderful, cool people like you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think your
Yes.
story really shows the transformative power of education, because that foundation you built with getting yourself better, but then tapping into education. And you mentioned support. How were you able to tap into support once you got into higher ed? Like, how was that
Mm.
process for you?
So I need to back it up some, right?
Okay,
Because when I got out of treatment, the way it's set up, there's an assumption that there's all this help for you once you get clean. No, there's not.
of course.
Um, so I found a church who gave me clothing and winter clothing. Found my job at Panera. They gave me what I call Panera moms now, where they're local moms in the community who love me and help me and guide me through life. And when I got in education, the way it worked was I met people based on my healthiness and what I was doing. I always say healthy people attract healthy people. Well, I met people who were openly honest about wanting to help me. How are you doing? Their openness, what do I need, made me feel safe to say, here's who I am. And once that happened, it was a wrap. And I met people, the assistant student activities director, she wrote my first contract for me to speak. Stephanie
Wow.
Green Bay mom, I call her that. She's from Green Bay. I'm a diehard Green Bay fan. When I graduated, she gave me tickets to go to a Green Bay game, right?
Aw.
She helped me start my granddaughter's first 509c. I remember my first 10,000 I made speaking. She said, Freddie, it's not about what you make, it's what you keep. She helped me start my first 401k, right? Rose helped me find therapy for my daughter. My daughter now has 4 years sober. Rose
Mm.
was my first academic counselor, right? Like Dr. Mickens helped me, told me about a workshop, which landed me my first speaking gig paid. Like I just met people that were open and honest and trying to help, and their positivity attracted me, and the rest is history.
I really appreciate how open and vulnerable you are when you're sharing your story, because I can relate. Um, but I wanted to talk about support, because in order to get support, you've got to ask for help. And I feel like there's just this stigma surrounding asking for help, but especially in the Black community, it's like we keep our business within our household. You have to suck it up, toughen up and you better figure it out on your own. So I wanted to ask, what advice would you have for someone that's embarrassed or ashamed of their circumstances? What would you tell them to encourage them to ask for help and support?
Yeah, so I would say to them, me too. I'm talking about somebody that hid multiple traumas for over a decade. Masking and hiding became a survival skill.
Right.
It became my go-to because I watched what I didn't want to happen was I watched my mom go into a psych unit, come home. We have family dinner at my grandfather's house and at family functions, and there's no mention of it, as if it never happened.
Right.
That's criminal. Like, what are we doing? I didn't want that. I didn't want that. So I would say ask for help because you don't know where the help can take you. If I would have never asked for help, I never end up in Africa speaking. If I don't ask for help, I don't end up with a company where I now have a choice. Do I want to work for somebody or work for myself? Asking for help changed my life. And so it's easy to ask for help when you put you around helpful people, right? So, like, I don't have shame in asking for help now because I know my network is there for me to help. And just like if they ask me, they can help. Like, it's the environment where the shame is. There's no, in my household, we don't even know what shame about asking for help look like because that environment's not created.
Wow.
It's an environment where if you don't ask for help, we're upset. Right. I'll tell you a quick story. I was taking Spanish, right? Spanish was the hardest class for me. I just could not do it. I mean, my pastor was praying, right? And I'm taking Spanish. And I remember towards the end of the semester, my wife said, "Why didn't you ask me for help?" I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Why would you let pride get in the way of asking for help for the class when we've helped each other get through where we're at now? Come on now. Even my job, I can't speak across the country without help. It's not possible." So I would tell people that as a person that used it as a survival skill, I wish I would have used it when I was younger because it would have saved me a lot of pain.
That's deep. And I
Yeah,
actually feel I've experienced that myself. I know that when you're keeping things to yourself, when you don't feel like you have support, it's lonely, it's hard, it's
it is.
tiring, and
It
it
is.
takes a toll on you. But in my experience, asking for help has opened me up to really everything you just said. Now I feel empowered when I'm able to ask for help. You really never know where it will take you because that's how I'm here
Right.
now. I started
Right.
asking, like, how did you do that?
Right.
How did you do your
Right.
podcast? Now
Right.
I'm here doing my own thing.
Right.
So,
Right. And I would say this too. If I gotta feel shame about what's going on, then maybe you shouldn't even be in my circle anyway. Because
right.
there should be nothing I should feel shamed about to talk to you about.
Yeah, and that's something to think about for sure because I feel like the people closest to you can either bring you down or lift you up, right? And when you're already carrying so much as a student, especially first generation students, non-traditional students, students facing housing insecurity, food insecurity, I mean, that support really matters. And that leads me into my next question. Do you think schools are doing enough to support students that are struggling to meet their basic needs? And what would real help and support look like?
Okay. So number one, no. No, no, no. This is what I understand. We have free lunch in high school. Why would I stop getting hungry when I get to college?
Mm,
If what real help look like this, hey, we have a budget. Instead of spending that budget on marketing, instead of spending that budget on pretzels that nobody's going to eat at these things, instead of, we have an endowment fund of $20 million. I got an idea. Let's build a free food pantry. Let's make sure that anybody can come in here when they're hungry. Let's have a soup kitchen. If we can take the tuition check, then we should care about who is giving the tuition check.
mm,
Like, it's really that simple to me. Because when they graduate an alumni, when I was on stage at graduation, the first thing they ask is to give back. The first thing you ask. Okay, cool. So if you want me to give back, can you feed me while I'm getting through the program? Simple.
right.
Real quick, let me say this. What baffles me, right, from places that are of higher learning, they have all the data, all the research. They have some of the most CV longest, all that stuff. They know that the community of people they're dealing with, some are coming in there with mental illness, homelessness, food insecurity, and all this. You know you need to have those things on campus because we now know that people that get through college are not the most intelligent. They're the most supported.
Hmm.
It's just the facts. Why do you think we have things called legacy admission? Literally, I was born to parents that graduated from the University of Harvard. So all I got to do is write my name and I get in Harvard. Has nothing to do with my IQ,
Wow. Yeah.
right? Like, why? Why do you think they gatekeep so much to get in? You're not just walking in Carnegie Mellon. You're not just walking in these things. They want certain things. You know why? Because they believe that having them certain things, I ain't got to feed you. I ain't got to make sure you got housing because you're already coming from a home to have that. You have to come home from have that for order you to be in girls club, in order for you to be in croquet club, because all that stuff takes time, resources, and money. So my point is, if you're taking in people in the community, especially at community college, especially at four-year college, especially at these rural colleges. Yo, make sure that you got a budget to make them eat. Now, to them, some of the schools are trying, but they're not getting the federal help they need. So, yo, you people that are sitting in the rooms of policy, that went to the greatest schools, have the greatest CVs, when that budget come in and you have a certain number allocated, take the money away from the stuff that don't matter and put it into people's stomachs and minds and souls. Because if you do that, you're going to nurture future people that can go to the moon, create things. So,
What you said about taking money away from the things that don't matter, that really hit me because when I was the SGA president at my community college, they actually asked me how to spend. They had a budget, it was $1,500, and they needed to purchase 500 items. And so I was like, okay, this is my chance. They're asking me how to spend money. Like I have made it. Like I'm doing it, right? And so I said, hey, what if we put this money in the student emergency aid fund that could potentially save 3 students from dropping out of school? And they were like, no, 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 it doesn't work like that. These funds have been allocated for us to purchase 500 items for students. And so that's when I realized I really needed to speak to the people who were allocating the funds, like the people who were actually making those decisions. And that was one critical moment for me that really pushed me to start being loud about student basic needs, because you can't just look at a student and know that they haven't eaten in a few days and they're sleeping in their car. And the people that are making those budget decisions and those choices that are directly impacting students, I don't think that they oftentimes hear those stories. I just want to be a voice for those students. It's something I'm just extremely passionate about. And so forget the pens and pencils, feed the people.
yeah, there's an
Right.
assumption that because I'm on campus, I'm not hungry and I got a place to
Right.
sleep. And either they're not watching the news or they don't care.
It's unfortunate because as I begin to, you know, advocate for things like that, the population of students that need that extra support, I feel like they kind of sometimes just get swept to the wayside.
And you know what's funny? They tuition checks don't get swept to the wayside.
I know that's right. Yeah. One of the things that frustrates me as an advocate is knowing that resources are available, but that it doesn't reach the students that need it the most.
You know, a form of capitalism, somebody got to lose. So, we get rich off the poor.
Yeah. I wanted to pivot into real college and the work
Hmm.
that you're doing there because I feel like that's one of those things that I feel like real college, that curriculum can actually make a difference in highlighting some of the stuff we just talked about. So, can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, so there's a curriculum called Real College. Sarah Goldstraw, Aunt Sarah, as I call her, she helped absolutely change my life. She taught me what I know in higher ed, and she has dedicated and devoted her life to helping the students that are marginalized and get thrown to the white side. What a real college student is, what real college looks like. And that's food, water, and shelter before I get in that building. And so the curriculum is designed of how to teach, how to educate, how to ensure that these students are taken care of. But then also the big key is you can't pour into anybody if your cup is empty.
Mm,
So the teachers themselves having something to deal with the burnout. Because make no mistake, Higher ed will burn you out and throw you away. Don't
Absolutely.
confuse,
Yeah.
because it's a business like anything else. So the curriculum is designed for students, but it's also designed for the teacher. So if I'm a teacher, I can put in there about the basic needs in the pantry so that I don't have to come to you as a student and say I'm hungry. You just know where to go.
Right. And you mentioned burnout. That actually leads me into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is mental health. How do you take care of
Mm,
your mental health today? What does that look like?
mm. So it's actually changed, because I'm gonna tell you, when I got sober, I take Zoloft, I go to therapy. Let me say this. I better go to therapy and I better take my psych meds. I have a chemical imbalance that is diagnosed. My first psych unit, I was 9 years old. I can't even tell you how many psych units I've been in. I can't even tell you how many rehabs I've been in. I have a chemical imbalance of the brain that requires medication. I was doing that for a long time, and then I slacked off and I got deep into my company and deep into the education piece, and I paid a price and I saw things going left. So let me tell you what it's looked like. I wake up at 6 a.m. Me and my wife do prayer and devotional. We yoga, we stretch, we run, we work out, we come home, eat a healthy meal. I check in with my mentees. I'm in church on Sundays. I'm actively reading the word with my wife at night. I'm going to bed on time. I'm eating healthy. I'm scheduled. I'm structured. Checking in with other people that are struggling, volunteering, speaking. Like, my mental health is the most important. I can't function. There's only two routes with Freddy.
Hmm.
It's either I'm healthy, doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and working out and eating right, doing it, or I'm not. And
Right.
when I'm not, I'm either drinking, getting high. I'm definitely not reading no education policy and on the podcast with Chelsea. Trust
Yeah.
me, I ain't doing none of that. So that's what
Yeah.
my mental health looks like. Checking in, talking to other men, dealing with my network support. That's what it looks like.
What would you say to someone who's struggling but afraid to ask for help or who's still battling the stigma of
Mm.
mental health?
I'm gonna tell you this. The system knows. The system knows that a good nutritious meal, going to bed early, eating healthy, therapy, psych meds if you chemically need it, good air quality, they know that that'll make your life better. Why do you think it's disproportionately accessible to Black people?
Mm.
Because they know if you get a hold of that, you might be the next president. They know if you get a hold of that, your family might come out of generational poverty. Why do you
Mm.
think there's food deserts for people that look like us in this country?
Camden, New
Because they
Jersey.
know,
Yeah.
right? My point.
Yeah.
Mississippi, there's certain kids down there that don't even know what fruit looks like. My point to you is, I found myself eating out of a dumpster and begging for change because I refused to ask for help and admit that I had a mental illness. Being Mr. Tough and me and Mr. What goes on in this house, stayed in this house, now I need
Mm.
to, that whole atmosphere and mindset almost killed me. The greatest thing I ever did was say, I need help. I have a mental illness and I need to see a therapist. It absolutely changed the course of my life. I would have avoided so much pain and anguish if at 20 I would have just admitted that, took my meds, and worked on this lifestyle. My only
That's
way to heaven is through Jesus.
amen to that. Yeah. That's really great advice. And I hope that anyone that's listening that might be struggling has the courage to ask for that help for themselves to save them from some
Absolutely.
pain. And
Absolutely.
what kind of legacy are you building, and how do you hope people remember your message? Because you have a strong message, such a powerful message, but how do you want people to remember that message and your legacy?
So I heard a lady say this the other day and it stuck with me and I can't shake it. She said she wants her obituary to tell the truth. I want to be known for this. My mother, I watched her die poor in a despicably disgusting nursing home. I watched her die. It But before that, she had told me, Freddie, I can go to my grave and sleep well because of who you become.
Oh, wow.
While I'm forever grateful for that, she deserved to die better than how she did. So I want my legacy to be my kids don't see me die like that. That I have left them with education more than I knew, with how to be a parent, with healthy life. Like I want to be known that I was able to be a part of the world making it better, making it normal to say you have mental illness. Matter of fact, let me back this up. I want to be part of a world where food, water, and shelter I don't have to ask you for. It's a fundamental right.
Absolutely.
Where I was part of the society that didn't accept we got endowment funds, but 5 minutes down the street, we got poverty. I want to be in a society that it's not weird that instead of buying your kids Christmas gifts, y'all feed the homeless on Christmas. It's not weird that there are no electronics and TV in your house. All y'all do is read and play board games. I want the society where it's not weird that we're not into the things online and everything going on. We're not caught up in that. What we're caught up in is reading and working out and health and family and doing activities and learning. And we don't care about what we wear. We don't care about what we look like. We're focused on making the earth better, where it's not weird for your kids to eat healthy and where you can afford it, right? Like I want to change how we view stuff,
Right.
where a society where we don't have bars at 21. We have fruit markets that are free.
Mm.
We don't we don't have treatment centers because we don't need them because drugs and alcohol aren't even part of our thinking. If you say that you're an AA, they look at you crazy. But if you say you got drunk at 21, they're like, "Oh, what'd you do for your 21st?"
Right. Yeah.
I want that.
Wow. Well, you are building an amazing legacy, not only for yourself, but also for your children and your grandchildren. I know that the way the homeless are viewed, I hope when people have the pleasure of listening to you speak, they might look at people in a different light with potential instead of looking down on them. Because I know the stigma of homelessness is strong. Some people just need a pillow and a bottle of water, a kind gesture,
Like,
a
why are we making it
smile.
so hard?
Yeah, a
Because
smile.
my mom always said, you see the same people you do on the way up, the same people you see on the way down. We assume it's funny with capitalism. You would think people would know what you have today is not guaranteed tomorrow. Now I know this as a Christian that he giveth, he taketh. But you would think even if you're not into that you would understand Enron's happen, tragedies happen, companies shut down every day, businesses go belly up, punch get out. Like when you walk past me homeless, to assume that my IQ is low or I'm dirty or I can't get where you got because you're there is insane because me today, you tomorrow. You can easily be homeless. And karma's real. Be mindful how you treat people. Because I promise you, some of the same people you look down on, you'll end up working for. Be
That's
very mindful.
powerful. That's very
Be very
powerful.
mindful. I literally, and I tell people this when we get in these conversations. You're talking to somebody who literally ate out of a dumpster, and 9 years ago I drive past that dumpster on my way to the airport to go speak at a school based on my company. I'm the one that know that, hey, I was there and now I'm here praying for that person.
Right, right.
So be mindful. And let me say this. I thank you so much for your work. I thank you for what you're doing. I thank you for your spirit. I thank you for your energy. I thank you for the podcast. And why I thank you is because you're giving a voice to the voiceless. but you're also telling the real raw truth and not sugarcoating it. Bless you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm stepping into my purpose, and
Mm.
I found my voice, and now I'm learning how to use it to be impactful and also create this space where other people can, because I think sugarcoating things does nothing.
Mm.
I'm doing this out of pure passion. I'm not in it for anything
Glitz
other
and
than
glamour.
exactly. Yeah, I'm really just doing it to create a platform where people can speak their truth. And so before we wrap up, I wanted to ask if you
Mm.
have anything else you'd like to share with our listeners today before.
Just that I'm grateful to have met you. I'm grateful to be on this podcast. I think it's so cool to watch people create new things. I would tell you keep going. I would tell you it's magical when you create your own platform. I heard one person one time, our first business conference, say, the salary is the price for your freedom. I would also tell you that you're good enough. You will, you can. And I'm honored that I was able to be a guest on here, and I look forward to watching you grow.
Thank you so much, Freddie. And for my listeners, don't forget to go check out his website. You won't regret
Yeah.
it. And I'll definitely catch you all in the next episode. So thank you so much for listening to Creation Higher Education. Catch you next time. If something in this episode moved you or resonated with you, don't be afraid to use your voice or step into your purpose. And if you want to be part of this conversation or have a story to tell, I want to hear it. You can email me at free.ishpodcast@gmail.com. That's free.ishpodcast@gmail.com. You can also DM me on Instagram at free.ishpodcast. We're free-ish, and we're claiming our space unapologetically.